Hi, I'm so excited. It's my first YouTube channel. Yay! Hi, I'm the Fab Attorney. Um, and on this channel, on the docket, we demystify the law. And we use case studies, things that are going on in pop culture, to apply it and, demystify the law. That is the point of the channel. I aim to be posting at least twice a week. I'll do some short videos giving some legal information. And then I also will do commentary videos or lawyer reaction videos, like such as this one. So I practice family law as well as injury law and divorce law. I represent mainly men. So I'm a father's rights men's attorney. And I think it gives me being a woman and also primarily representing men and fathers, it gives me a very interesting viewpoint. I'm really passionate about it. A lot of men do not trust the legal system. A lot of men feel like they will not get a fair shake. I love and I've dedicated my legal career to representing the underdog. And that's what I do. And I'm so excited. So I took a poll. A lot of my clients have been asking me about the Dr. Dre clients and potential clients have been asking me about the Dr. Dre divorce and, kind of scared about the implications and, why is he seemingly paying so much money in this divorce? And again, the point of this channel is to demystify the law, right? So today's episode on the docket, we're going to sort of just talk about who Dr. Dre is, a little information about his divorce, as well as what all is going on, spousal support, what is it? Again, I am a lawyer. I am not your lawyer. Nothing in this channel, nothing in this conversation, nothing on this episode should be construed as legal advice. If you are in a situation where you find yourself in need of legal advice, please contact a lawyer and a licensed lawyer in your jurisdiction or who handles the type of law or legal issue that you are looking for a satisfactory answer. Okay, so the aim of this channel is going to be legal and it's going to be entertainment. It's going to be a little bit of both, something that, I've been trying to do. I've been so busy. So now I've been able to dedicate some time on the weekends to do this, to help people. I love helping people. Early in my career, I was a public defender, criminal lawyer in New York. For a while, I've always done trial work. And then I started my own firm. I'm licensed in 2 states. And I love the law. And I love helping somebody who's going through a tough time. So let's just dive right into it. Okay. Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre. Who is Dr. Dre? He's a Grammy award-winning rapper, entrepreneur, as well as music producer. He was in NWA. He has founded groups such as artists such as Eminem. He produced album for Snoop Dogg, and the list goes on. Beats by Dre. He's very prominent in hip hop, prominent businessman across the board, to be quite honest. And as of late, him and his wife, Nicole Young, have been in the media a lot. And it's something that a lot of my clients and potential clients who are talking to me during my consultations, they have been questioning me about it, friends and family. I see it a lot now on YouTube. So I wanted to sort of chime in and give my perspective, my unique perspective as a woman of color, okay, a Black woman who represents primarily men and fathers in divorce in my practice. So I have a unique I think position because I can see both sides of the issue. And plus, listen, the law, this is what I love. The law, guys, the law is something that is not necessarily cut and dry. And I think people really have it skewed. And sometimes these headlines, sometimes the dicta or, the whispering from the gossip, we really don't get the real 411 nitty-gritty of what's going on in a particular case. And I just like a little bit of a legal nerd. I love the law. I love reading case law on the weekends, guys. And the statute, that's just type of stuff I'm into. Kind of gets me going. So there's a lot of skewed opinion on this, and I know a lot of men have been really upset. Just in general, I think that a lot of men have an idea that they're going to be quote unquote screwed. They're going to be taken to the cleaners and things like that. So let's just get into it. Dr. Dre got married to his wife, Nicole Young, in 1996. I did a little research. He wrote her a love letter. She was dating a basketball player, and he shot his shot. He shot his shot. he approached her. Mm-hmm. And 4 months later, they got married. They got married in 4 months from time of dating. And there's allegedly a prenup. And I do want to talk about it. One thing that's in question here is whether there is a prenup or not. So this is a point where I kind of want to really hone in and comment on prenups. When done right, work and are usually upheld by the law. It's all of the drama around prenups that cause it to, does a prenup exist? So in this particular case, there is a question of fact. One party says there is a prenup, which is Dr. Dre. Mrs. Young states that there was a prenup. However, Dr. Dre ripped up the prenup and said, baby, it's me and you. No prenup what? So that's going to turn on if this should go to a trial, if the court adapts or gives credibility to one party over the other. So right now, there's an issue of fact. The court is not going to make a decision at this juncture prior to hearing all testimony whether there is a valid prenup or not, whether the prenup is enforceable or not. Okay, all of the rulings that have happened thus far are temporary. They're not final. The divorce is still in progress. Okay, so the court's just going to make information based on facts that are heard thus far. Okay, so that's something important to know. Get a prenup. If you fall in love, you find the right person. I don't believe that love and money should necessarily live in the same union. I've seen too many horror stories. So there is a question of fact of whether there is a prenup, whether the prenup is valid, whether it was ripped up or not. That is something that the court will consider should this case go to trial, to a final hearing. Everything that we've been hearing in the media thus far is temporary. These are hearings that are happening temporarily. So the court would not have a full trial on all issues. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay, so they've been married 24 years. It's questionable. It's a question of fact whether or not there is a prenup. There's 2 children. Both children are adults. So there's no issue of child support. There's something interesting to consider, and I think this is something hard for lay people such as you, lay people and normal people who may not have this amount of wealth. Dr. Dre is reportedly worth approximately $800 million. Not $80,000, okay? Not $50,000, but $800 million. So what the divorce process and spousal support is, right? Spousal support is something designed to keep the standard of living going after a divorce in a marital situation where one spouse makes more money than the other spouse. One spouse is the breadwinner. So courts will look to see the standard of living, what was the norm in your marriage. They will do so in a case that's a high asset divorce. They will get CPAs to analyze all of the business bank records, personal bank records, spending habits, and actually show what was the culture in the marriage. And what courts like to do, especially in a long-term marriage, they've been married 24 years, Usually anything from 18 to 20 years consider long-term marriage. They're going to keep that same energy. If you were spending $20,000 a month in vacations, then you're going to continue doing that after divorce to some extent. That is what the courts do. The courts are not there to judge whether it's reasonable or not. The lifestyle that you guys had during the marriage, whatever the lifestyle, whatever the culture, whatever the traditions in the marriage were, the courts will try to keep them to the extent that one party has a need, the other party has the ability to pay. So what the court is looking at, and I'm not speaking specifically to California, just in general, spousal support, is what are the needs of, in this case, the wife? What are her needs? What was the culture in the 24-year marriage? What was the spending habits in the 24-year marriage? And does the husband, right, Dr. Dre, have the ability to pay that? So whatever his expenses are minus his income, how much money does he have left? It's mathematical in the sense of that. So California is a no-fault state. So what that means is when it's a no-fault state, that they're not, one spouse, if they are the cause of the divorce, is not necessarily going to be penalized as far as the division of assets, alimony, child support, etc. Should the court make a finding of fact that they cheated, they engaged in domestic violence, they misappropriated funds. Okay, so there is some rumors that Nicole Young is an attorney. I couldn't find anything to substantiate it. Nothing to substantiate that she's actually licensed. Nothing to substantiate that she's ever practiced. Perhaps she is. She isn't. I don't know. She has a very low profile. What is evident in looking at some of the court documents is that she, the wife in this case, was very entrenched and involved in the business dealings. So she had her hands in it. She knew what was going on, and she was helping to facilitate the running of Dr. Dre's businesses throughout the marriage. That seems very clear based on some documentations that I've reviewed. So just talking about spousal support, because it's very, very important to think about it. So what the court simply is going to do is say, okay, what was the standard? In California, they take certain things into consideration. They take what's the capacity of one spouse to earn? What's your earning capacity? Last 24 years, what did you do for work? How much did you earn? How much can you earn standing on your own? They also look at the standard of living. And I think it's very important that people understand that. So they will look to see if they had 15 properties and they were spending lavishly and living and then they separate, then that is what the court is going to, continue in that vein, the standard of living, to the extent that the party asking the payor has the ability to do so, has the residual income to do so. So if this is a situation where two parties are making relatively the same amount of money, then a spousal support doesn't come into play. Also, if it's a short-term marriage, very short-term marriage, usually spousal support doesn't come into play. But if you spend a couple of decades, pop out a child or two, and deal with 1 or 2, 3 or 4 mistresses, in other words, I'm being tongue-in-cheek, you've gone through some things, okay? You were there in you were shooting in the gym, so to speak, right? Then you're going to be entitled to continue that based on a lot of factors. So one factor that California considers is the standard of living throughout the marriage, the education and ability to, so for instance, let's say, hypothetically speaking, Nicole Young is an attorney and they can get a vocational expert to testify that she has the ability to make $150,000 a year. maybe that's what the court will find, if she has the ability to make $150,000 a year. However, if they were spending $1 million or $2 million a month, and Dr. Dre has that money to keep that standard of living, it's a little bit of a drop in the bucket, so to speak, the $150,000 that the court may assess or impute her at, right? The court usually in its final judgment will make a ruling as to the capacity of each spouse to earn a living and how much the court believes that person can earn in the open market based on the last 24 years of marriage, based on level of education, based on available jobs in the market. So that's just something interesting to know. And it's, I see a lot of men upset. There's women spending money as well. Kelly Clarkson recently, I think she's had to pay or has to pay her former husband a couple $100,000 a month because she was the breadwinner. Again, the point of spousal support is to keep the standard of living, the tradition, to be tongue in cheek, to keep that same energy, whatever the culture was. So if we put that in more regular people, if you spend $200 a month getting your hair done, and then you were married to somebody for 24 years, they were the breadwinner, the court may think it's a reasonable expense for you to continue and for your former husband to continue to help contribute towards you getting your hair done, as well as other bills, whatever the bills come up to, right? If you can show that was a standard, that was a culture, it's going to be bared out in the bank statements, by CPAs. That's generally how it happens in divorces such as this. The court will look at the age and health of each party, the duration of the marriage. The court does take into consideration, and this is interesting, whether it was documented evidence of domestic violence as defined in their statute, because here Nicole Young is alleging that Dr. Dre held her at gunpoint and that there was domestic violence. Dr. Dre denies these allegations, and Dr. Dre accuses her, his soon-to-be former wife. I think they bifurcated divorce, so they are divorced and they're still arguing about the assets. So that's something that you can do in certain states where you can ask to be legally divorced. You want to be, I'm single, but let's go ahead and continue to litigate the outstanding issues with respect to equitable distribution, assets, alimony, child support, and the like. So that's something important to know. So they're technically divorced. However, the litigation of the divorce and the assets are still ongoing. It's kind of a technical. The wife, Nicole Young, accuses Dr. Dre of embezzling $350,000 and transferring some monies into a shell account so that it can not be considered marital assets and therefore not considered in this divorce. Dr. Dre says that's BS, that she's trying to go on a smear campaign, and he was hospitalized and he had a brain bleed back in January of this year. It's real messy stuff. I will say, side note, real life application, going through a divorce is one of the worst things that someone will go through in life. It's horrible. And everyone going through a divorce or a breakup that feels like a divorce, where you're with someone and sort of intermingled in all ways, you need to have therapy. You need to have a therapist. You need to have somebody help you emotionally and mentally process the grief of leaving a lifelong relationship. I always recommend all my clients to go see a therapist. There's certain therapists that I recommend, and it's essential. And this is humongous, because it did not shock me when I heard that Dr. Dre had, I think was a brain bleed. Well, he's going through a high level of stress. Even though they have adult children, this must be impacting the children. We're talking about large quantities of money. We're talking about the death of a 24-year relationship. This is some serious stuff, and you need a mental health professionals who walk you through emotionally processing these types of griefs, and giving you tools of how to move forward and how to feel hopeful about the future. It's so important. It's so essential. Something I just wanted to say, that I hope with all this money that they're able to get the help that they need, emotionally and mentally, life coaches, divorce coaches, all the kind of coaches that you will need. There's a myriad of factors that the court takes into consideration when assessing whether spousal support. So there's a temporary hearing happened. The judge did not take into consideration whether or not the prenup was valid or not, but did take into consideration what the parties were asking for. And actually what people need to know is that Dr. Dre won this round. Nicole Young was asking for $2.5 million a month. A month. Okay, a month. And the court heard testimony from both CPA and business valuation experts, and actually went with, right, the expert of Dr. Dre, and said, no, not $2.5 million a month, but we can do it's almost $300,000 a month. So this is not necessarily a loss. Okay, this is actually a win. So I like when people frame it. It's very important to really know the facts and really know the law before people go up in arms. I heard people say, I don't want to get married. I've got so many calls about prenups now, postnups. Everyone should have a postnup or a prenup. That is my opinion. Without understanding the facts. So essentially, Dr. Dre worth $800 million roughly. Nicole Young worked in the businesses. She did not work separate and apart from the businesses. They had a certain lavish, grandiose standard of living, which the judge looked at and came to the decision to actually go with Dr. Dre's argument. So in fact, he won this one. So spousal support, guys, it's the culture in your marriage. Okay, and if anyone's considering getting married or considering getting divorced, postnup, prenup, when things are on better terms, sit down and sort of say, hey, this is what, if worst case scenario, this is what we agree to. It's the best thing for everybody. It's the best thing. So thank you guys. This is so exciting. So this was my first episode. There will be more. Please let me know. DM me. Send me a message. Let me know other topics you guys want to hear. I'm going to be posting once or twice a week. And you guys have a fabulous day. Bye.